She was pretty spectacular last night, that Karen Noble.
Well, she's spectacular every night. Are you kidding me?
That may be more information than I need.
I was going to say, that sounded really bad, but she knows what I mean. Every night we've spent, oh wait, that sounds bad too.
Becky, just forget it.
Yeah.
So those of you that were on the call with home office, what's your big takeaway? What was the big thing that caught your attention?
Changing up some systems.
How so, Corey?
Developing some.
How are you going to do that?
I'm thinking that I'm going to tweak home office info so that it's my own, so that I take more ownership of it, because home office has done it for us in so many ways, but I don't use them. I need to have more systems. If I'm going to take this seriously, and I really, really want to, then I have to take more ownership.
Karen, I was really surprised last night when you were talking about the new consultant Strong Start. How many people didn't even know that was out there?
Yeah.
You know, there's so much information on home office's website on Consultant Corner, and we lose it. First of all, it's not easy to find. You know, it's definitely not intuitive, but there's some great info out there. We need to revisit it often enough that we find it.
Yeah.
How about somebody else? What was your takeaway?
I'll go. What? Sorry, I'm eating and my nose is running because it's really hot chili. So one thing I've been kind of realizing lately with being in Lead Plus and listening to Karen last night, who so proud, my mama, and just everything that I've been kind of relooking at my business over the last few months and focusing on some goals. And so one thing I have at the top of my newsletter is, especially because it kind of goes along with the making the magic happen. Is that how you say it? Is demystifying the magic. So just showing my team that there's really not any magical thing in this. And if you want to reach some of these big goals that other people are reaching, you can do it. And yeah, there is some magic to it because the magic is in you. You have to be the one to make it happen and be focused and determined and be willing to put in the hard work. But there really isn't anything magical. You have the resources. You have the same exact ability to do what you want to do. Maybe it's a little trickier because of your lifestyle or your family dynamics or schedules or whatever. You might have to find ways around certain things, but there's really, it's kind of like the things that we hear that are like, yeah, we hear some really great ideas, but overall what we should do to get where we want to go is we have all the resources we need to do that. So it's really not a matter of learning anything new so much as it's just a matter of being consistent with doing something that is working. So,
I mean, you can take all the trainings, you can do all kinds of trainings, but if you don't hit that apply button, right, you know, you're not putting what you've learned into use and you're not getting anything back out of it.
And it's encouraging me because I do have some really big goals. And when I step back and look at my whole like door thing, vision board here, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not going to happen. And I kind of like chuckle at myself and I'm like, but why wouldn't it happen? And I forget what else I was just going to say. Oh, and sometimes too, I think as a leader, you can tell your team this, like, hey, there's, you know, it's as easy as this if you're willing to do the work, but they don't really get that. It kind of goes in one ear, not the other, and they don't really understand what you're saying. And they might be like, oh yeah, okay. But like, until it really clicks with them and they can see the picture of what it's going to look like, I think that's the moment that it clicks with them. So kind of where I'm at right now is turning them toward what that painted picture looks like so they can actually see that. And then it kind of clicks. So if that makes sense.
Yep. And I think the other thing that you need to do, Jen, is you need to get them engaged in the setting of the goal. Even if it's your goal and it's clearly what you want, if you can make them feel like they're a part of that decision of where your team's going to go,
Yeah.
then they're more committed to it and they own it more.
Well, when I actually look at what is happening in the next couple months, it's the structure for senior director. And then like you said on the chat with me a couple weeks ago or whatever, you're like, what's a couple more? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's true. It's not like I'm coaching anybody who hasn't already given me a promotion date. So it's kind of easy because I have people who want that anyway, and they've picked their own promotion dates. So they are part of the goal. So yeah, I'm like, okay, well, then what is a few more? I guess it's really not that big of a deal.
Right. And I think Steve said it really well in his part of the presentation today. Because he's had virtual success, it's not like he's a mythical, magical unicorn. It's because he's engaged. It's because he's authentic and he's building relationships. Karen talked about that last night in her presentation about the importance of relationships. Anybody else have a takeaway from today's training with home office?
I'll go.
Thank you.
I have struggled over the last probably 4 weeks since the retreat with what do I really want? What is my dream? What is my goal? You know, like that, I was reading Miracle Morning, and like, what's that big thing that's going to get me everything I want in my life? That's going to make me feel the happiest, the most successful. And I haven't figured it out yet. But being on the call, I think put me in a step in the right direction. I'm now able to see a little bit of what I want. I really, truly, and before you jumped on, Robin, I was saying that one of my dreams since I was a junior in college was to be able to take my future husband to Paris, because I lived there. I lived in France for a semester, and I would see all these romantic, lovely couples, and I always thought, I want to be them one day. I want to take my future husband to Paris. So I really would love to do this. I really would love to pamper him and take him on a trip. I mean, this truly would be like a trip of a lifetime for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it helped me see the vision that I can do it. Now I just really need to figure out. I know how to do it.
You just need the little steps. You know what the end result is that you want. Now you just need to break it down into steps so that you can start walking the walk and make it happen.
Mm-hmm. And the belief. I think I've always struggled with the belief that I can do it. Because I know in the past when I have grounded myself in the positive affirmations and the belief, I've done what I've wanted to do. And the last month or two, I've really struggled with that. So I'm working on it, but I'm excited. I feel like today's call kind of lit a fire under me that I really needed for the last 4 weeks.
Yep. Anybody else have a takeaway from today?
My takeaway is is culture. I mean, I like our culture. So, truthfully, up to today, I was like, we have a good culture. We're, active on our team page. We're doing things together. We're moving mountains and doing great in sales. And, we're we're an advanced team with only 2 really great directors, but our numbers are between senior and exec as far as sales. And then it hit me like a brick wall today that the culture is great, but it's all about sales. It's not, even though we talk about recruiting, I'm not doing nearly enough to have a recruiting culture. I need to, there's a lot of, and Kristen came up with some things that, I want to maybe try out, but it's that culture that's going to move us forward. If they're not motivated, if they're not supported, if they're not trained, if they're not getting all of that, it's great that their personal sales are doing wonderful. It's great. And they're, they are recruiting, but again, their focus is, again, sales. I'm not doing my job. And it wasn't until today that I'm like, oh, hello, culture is a big one for me.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I think will be easier for you, I think it's easier create a recruiting culture when you have a strong sales culture, because we know this is a numbers game. Karen talked about that last night. You have to be in front of enough people to get the recruits. So your team's on the right track, Terry. Now you just need to start mixing in slowly how to recruit, what to say, where to bring them, how to engage them, how to not, just all the basic steps, and you're going to move right in. It's going to just flow right off for you. You got this. You got this. Anybody else? What's your takeaway from today?
I'll share. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got kids home today, and of course they're having meltdowns, and they don't get the idea that you can't just walk into mom's office. So the Becky Baxter segment was definitely the most eye-opening to me. Gosh, and I love what you said, Becky, about belief. I definitely struggle with that, especially from the standpoint of, creating all these systems and like being systematic and scheduled and disciplined to do all that. Like that's completely overwhelming to me. My college degree is in accounting, so you'd think I'd be a systems person. And actually I was a systems engineer, like I was a computer programmer, so you'd think I'd be a systems person. And I can come up with systems with the best of them. I can develop a system like nobody's business, but getting in the habit of implementing it every single day I struggle with that. I really do. So that is the biggest thing for me is going to be, not just coming up with the systems, but actually, bless you, sticking with them, and really following through with them. That's my biggest struggle. I'm great at starting stuff. I can, envision myself in pairs, absolutely. But yeah, being disciplined enough to actually follow through with it.
Well, and I think one of the things that I foresee as a key part of this group will help you with that, Gretchen.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a plan.
Good. I need a plan.
Yeah.
I
sure hope so. I sure hope you have a plan.
I need a drill sergeant to be like, okay, you said you're going to do this.
Watch what you asked for.
Hey, you know what? I already have my office hours scheduled, Jen. I have them scheduled. And I actually have been doing pretty well with that recently. Cindy knows, because I told her, I'm like, I'm sitting down in my office at 10 o'clock every day. You got to text me. You got to remind me. Yes, Jen, talking to everyone. Yeah, absolutely. Scheduling office hours. But that's the first part of it. I mean, sitting down in the office, that's the first step. And then the second step is like, okay, what am I working on? Because there's a bazillion things that are just like bouncing around in my brain. And even when I make a list, and I say, okay, this is the most important thing of the day, and I'm going to eat the frog, and I'm going to do many times it just goes by the wayside. And I love recruiting. Recruiting is not a problem for me, but I loved when Becky really ironed out the next steps, to developing leaders. That's where I am personally, is getting, inspiring people. Or either inspiring people to want more, or, just finding the ones who do want more and working with them to get to that level.
Totally get that. And I think that's the part that a lot of us struggle with, is making, both of those things, getting them to sign, but also getting the system in place to be ready for that to happen and to get everything else done. You know, sometimes I feel like this business has made me an ADHD patient because, you know, you sit down to do one thing, and next thing you know, you're watching squirrels leaping across the trees because
honestly, I think you know, I think everybody I know is ADHD at this point. I think we all are. It's because of, you know, the internet is so readily available everywhere, and we're just constantly being bombarded by everything. So I have to laugh when somebody says, "Well, I'm ADD." I'm like, everybody is. Like, we all are.
yeah, yeah.
I blame Sesame Street, but
Okay.
Why?
because they're the ones who started the whole, like, Sesame Street was the first show that did like the
Damn you, Cookie Monster!
They're the first ones that did like the 30-second interval of like, pay attention to this for 30 seconds and then we're going to move on to something else. And that was the first show that really did that. And that came out the year I was born. So like, I'm a perfect candidate. I think that started the whole snowball of all of us being ADD. But, you know, these people are doing it. So, you know, if they can do it, then we can do it. And
Yep. Anybody else want to share? Otherwise, we'll go on. Go ahead. Somebody was starting. No? Okay. So one of the things that was discussed today too by several different people is either the goal boards or the vision boards. And I would highly recommend that you create something for yourself that helps you track your path to Paris. I've actually made one for all of you. Like, I have one to track all of you because I want to make sure that I'm helping to keep you on the path as well. But one of the things that they talked about was a goal board. And it's a little bit different than a vision board. Are you guys aware of the difference? Do you know what a goal board is? No?
I mean, is it just listing out your goals for the year kind of thing?
My interpretation of it is that's not for the year. My interpretation of it is, let me just go get mine. It might be easier for me to show you. But my interpretation of it is that it helps you focus monthly what you need to do to achieve your big goal. Setting that big goal is the easy part. Figuring out what you need to do all the time to earn it is the tricky part. It's easier to take the computer to the tape over there, or you know what, we're going on a walkabout. Sorry for those of you that have motion sensitivity.
Close your eyes.
Here's my goal board. So this is just a piece of poster board folded like this, okay? You see my Paris in the center. So for me to earn it, I have to do 2 out of 3 of those things. So I have to do either 10 recruits, 2 promotes, or paid at title 4 out of 7, okay? So over here are all of my directors. And once or twice a month, I'll go in, and I had the list to do it, but I didn't get to do it yet today. All of my directors that are green will go over here. So now I know they're qualified, and that's part of what I need for my Paris. And then the other thing I need to do is promote 2. So you can see I have stars down here. I actually need to add 2 more stars there. Actually, I need to add 4 more stars there. That's the people that are on track to earn directorship, or they're in, my group is called Disney Bound, not Director Bound. And that group just started. So that's how I'm tracking it. So this is my goal board. So every single month, these will move over into here as people turn green and are qualified. On this side, when they promote to director, they'll go over here. Now, these will go back and forth each month. These won't. But what will happen when I promote one of these directors, they'll go from being an orange star to being a yellow flower. So that'll get switched out a little bit. So then that's my personal goal board. And then here's the chart that I made for you. So this is just allowing me with all of your names. I have your title there. As you recruit, I'll track that. The stars tell me how many first generation directors you have and how many second generation directors you have currently. So that helps me track your promotion. Okay? So this is just a very simple, basic visual for me to watch all of you. But by having that goal board for myself, it keeps it right in front of me. And that's something that I've encouraged my director-bound people do themselves, was to create their own goal board for whatever it is they need to do. Like if they need to do 3,000 in sales and 1 recruit every month, that's what their goal board looks like. And I do have a diagram of this that I'll share with all of you. I'll post it in our Pride group a little bit later. So I think that's part of it. I think having the vision, getting your team to buy into it, that's half the battle. The other half is believing in yourself enough that you can do it. So I would encourage all of you to work on a goal board and be ready to share it with all of us on our next call. The other thing that I think would be really helpful for all of you is for each of you to have one accountability partner. I would like you to not pick somebody you know. Like work with somebody you don't know. Sorry.
What if we know everybody? I'm looking at everybody on the call and I'm like, wait a second.
Well, I can always pair you up myself if you want me to.
Do you suggest?
I want you to pair us up.
I would rather
do it.
pair us up.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and what would be really, I'll try to do this to the best of my ability, but on that Google form, when you agreed to be part of this group, I asked you for strengths and weaknesses. So maybe I'll pair you accordingly.
That's what I was going to ask, if you wanted us to
Yeah.
pair up with, you know, similar or different.
I'll pair you guys up. I'll take care of that for you.
You do it.
Thank you for that, Margaret. But then what I'd like to do in addition, as an additional part of supporting all of you, is once we have you whittled down to 8 pairs, then I want to do coaching calls with you and your accountability partner. It's like a 15-minute check-in chat once a week. Or maybe we'll do an individual call once a week and do a group call the week in between. What do you think?
I like it.
Okay.
I need it.
I like it.
Well, and I think that's it for everybody. We all need the accountability.
Right.
You know, we need to be kept on track to make this happen. So I will work on that. With regard to a Facebook group for our Ooh La La crew here, that was a pretty split decision. Like half of you said no, don't do it. Half of you said yes. And I know the last thing we want is one more group to be part of, because it is tough to monitor them all. So I guess I would ask those of you that said no, is it because you don't want to have another group to track? Or is it because you feel like you're missing notifications from there? Like, what's your thought?
Can you hear me, Robin?
Yes, Karen.
I probably said no just because I hate Facebook, so that's probably why. I hate it. So.
I don't remember voting, but I would vote for a group. So.
Okay.
I do remember voting, and I voted no, and it was probably a day when I had it with Facebook, and I thought I can't stand it. But quite honestly, I am going to Paris, so I need a group.
Okay.
I agree with whatever Cindy just said, 100%. Probably if I voted, I was overwhelmed with Facebook. But now that I'm committed to this, I'll do whatever is best for everybody. I'll do it.
All right. Well, then I think what I will do is I will create a Facebook group for us. And I will promise you this. Anytime that I post anything that I think is important for you to see, I'll tag everybody. That way everybody knows, because, we get lost in notifications, but when you see that you've been tagged in something, it's a little bit more of a highlighted notification.
Can I ask one question about the requirements? One of the requirements is you got to recruit and qualify 10 new consultants. I assume that means they have to sign in January, correct? You can't, this doesn't count any recruits that signed in 2018 and might qualify in 2019, right?
Actually, it didn't start until February 1.
Sorry, Terry,
Hold on.
go ahead.
No, same thing you were going to say. It didn't start until February 1, so it's not even January recruits.
Okay, so
February
it's just
forward.
anybody who signed after February 1st. Okay,
Right.
Thank you.
Yep, so it's 10 recruits, it's 3 directors, or is it 2 directors? 2 directors. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, basically it's however many directors you need to get to executive. So,
Right.
For me it's 8.
But that's not insurmountable. And I think one of the things that we have to be okay with is looking at those fast track directors.
Yeah. And I said to Kim when we had the leaders call last week, no, it wasn't the leaders call. It was listening to Rachel Hansen on Coffee Talk.
Yes.
And she said she had 2 directors as of conference, and by the end of the year she had 11. I said to Kim, this is the first time that I've heard somebody say something like this that made me feel like, that could do it. Because I hear all the time of people who are like, oh yeah, promoting the director left and right. And I'm like, well, I don't know what's wrong with me because I obviously can't do it. But she made me feel like I could do it. And so I'm going to listen to that one again.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah.
That was a really good one.
What was that called, Gretchen? What did you say?
It was the Coffee Talk call from this past Saturday with Rachel Hansen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew that she was speaking. That's why I included it in the Big Ask Challenge, because I really wanted everybody to hear what she had to say. It was really good information.
Yeah, it was really good. And so many times when people talk, it's either about, bookings or recruiting. And I'm like, I get that. I know how to book parties. I know how to recruit people. I just got to learn how to get them to promote to director. It's just the next step, and I'll get there. But so much of our training is always about like how to book parties and how to sell and how to recruit.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really loved, what she said and what Becky Baxter said in this, webinar we just listened to, because it was really about, that next step. And that's what I need to focus on.
And both, it was Donna Landy and I think Claire Dolger also said at retreat that, or maybe it was Claudia and Donna, that when you're growing directors, don't worry about them being leadership skilled. Get them fast track to director and then develop their leadership skills. And I think, especially for those of us that have been around for a while, that whole fast track thing is totally foreign to everything that we learned back in the day. So I think we need to retrain our own brains that fast track is okay. And get past that fear of getting somebody on board that quick. There's a huge cash benefit in that for them. And that's where you need to focus, not on what it's going to do for you personally, but the cash that's on the table for them. So I think that's a big part of it too. So I think that, we'll get the Facebook group created. Is there any of you on the call that do not have a director bound program running currently? I don't know if I'll be able to. You don't, Gretchen? Anybody else not?
Okay. I don't. I'm following along with Cindy's. I'm using my upline.
Okay. And so I'm assuming then Cindy's got one rolling?
Yeah, yes. I have a director bound with Judy Pogue and I are doing one.
How far into that are you, Cindy?
We are on our 5th week.
5?
Yes.
Okay.
Out of 12.
Okay.
And it's a combination of director bound and also Stephanie Richardson's.
Okay. Well, Gretchen, mine just started. I just did the kind of announcement call. We haven't, our first training was actually Karen's training last night. So you're welcome to join my group if you'd like. We can work together for that. And if there's anybody else that doesn't have one currently running, you're welcome to join.
Yeah, I had planned on starting one like March 1st, and doing Melody Govig does like a 4-week kind of outline, and that's kind of what I was planning on doing. But for now, yeah, I can join Gretchen, in and
you're welcome to do that way too. It's totally up to you what you want to do. Whatever works for you. And maybe it's better if you work on your own because you'll have a little more personal contact with the people that are in it.
Yeah.
But, we've got an organization-wide opportunity event coming up next week. And I would love to challenge all of you to have at least 2 people personally invited in that group next week. And I did just create a Facebook group for that not too long ago, or earlier today. So if you're interested in participating in that opportunity event, make sure you PM me so that I know, and I'll add you. And I've offered it to my my director bound group too, get them involved. And I'm also going to offer it to my personal team because, the 10 that have indicated directorship is of interest. there may be others that just are a little fearful of admitting that. So I'm just going to make this opportunity event optional for them. So that org event, what that's going to look like, it's just going to be Ellington Boyce's 4 Ps: paycheck, purpose, parties, and oh my gosh, now I can't think of the 4th one. Anyway, that's what it's only going to be, like 15 to 20 minutes. It's
What
not
date
going to
is
be
it?
paycheck. Paycheck is the other P.
You said that already. Paycheck,
Okay.
paycheck, purpose, parties.
And I have to find my notes to tell you what the other one is.
And Robin,
Parties,
what is the
paycheck,
date of that?
perks.
Perks. Okay.
Parties, paychecks, purpose, and perks. And that's on Tuesday, the 26th of February at 8 p.m. And that was part of the Big Ask Challenge too.
Right.
So most of you, when I looked at the poll to try and figure out when we would have our calls, most of you were available on a Wednesday. 7 of the 16 were available Wednesdays. So I think that's the day that I'd like to stick with. Now, time was split pretty even. Like there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that like a 10 a.m. call, but I won't do that to Margaret.
I'm up. So if that works, I'm an early riser. So if it's 8 a.m. here, I'm okay with that if that's,
Okay.
so I'll be on.
How do the rest of you feel about 10 a.m.?
How often are we talking, Robin?
Well, you know what? Because it's a Wednesday, I kind of looked through it, and I picked out 7 dates on a Wednesday between now and the end of May. And they're not consistent because of my travel schedule. And does anybody have the nationwide leader calls on their calendar already?
Yes, but in my office.
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
Are they on, is it the 6th of March? I know we have our executive.
No, the 13th.
Okay, and what about in May?
Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. It may be the 6th. I'm looking at a different, I have another group that meets the following Wednesday, so probably is the 6th.
Well, but if we do it at 10 Eastern, I think we'd be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And actually that works because our exec calls, Cindy, are at 11:30. So we would be done in plenty of time. Right, so then it'll be Wednesdays at 10 a.m. I'll post the dates in our group so that everybody has them. That was a big yawn, whoever that was. I'm envious.
Sorry, that was me. Yeah, May 1st is the leader call for May.
It is May 1st.
Mm-hmm.
At what time? 1 Eastern?
Yes.
All right, so if we did it at 10 a.m., we would avoid that, I think.
Yeah, we're fine.
All right, good deal. That's all that I had on my list. Is there anything that anybody that has questions? All right, so my objective with this group is to look at all of the weaknesses that you guys see in yourselves and address those in a training. So I'm going to be tapping into some people that are proficient in these things and having them work with us too. Of course, I'll look within our own organization first, but I'll also look outside of our organization. And if it comes down to, like, I have not blended the list together close enough to know, since there's 16 of you and we only have about 8 weeks of training, I think it's 7 training courses. If I can't combine them all, I'll figure out a way to do something that gets everybody's issue addressed. All right. Any other questions? Well, I will encourage you to watch your mailbox. Some happy mail went out for all of you. So keep an eye out for that. And we will, our next call, let me give you that, at least that date. Will be next Wednesday, February 27th.
At 10?
And I would love it if you have your goal boards ready to share. And I will commit to getting you an accountability partner assigned by the end of the day today. And I will also get everybody added into the group. Okay? Is there anything else that you need from me right now? All right. Well, I want all of you to know that in my heart, I have 1000% belief in all of you. And I have this wonderful vision of all of us sitting in a little sidewalk cafe, having a glass of champagne together and toasting to our joint success. So in honor of that, an air clink to all of you. And we'll talk next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank all of you.